Hello everybody, Desk102 here, and welcome back to Hollow Knight. Now I'm sure a lot of you have been asking lately, what on earth is taking so long? The final boss rush isn't that bad. And well, no, it's not. It's not, but the thing is, hang on, I'm gonna bring this up a little louder. That should be good enough. But the thing is, they themselves aren't hard, but the Nightmare King, the Pure Vessel, and the new Radiance is. I'm having a hard time beating one or the other, and I keep having to going through it all over again. So, I'm going to show you everything I had to go through, and then lose again. Unless, of course, I beat Radiance this time. But I'm out of things to talk about while I show you guys everything I have to go through. So I'm going to talk about a game idea I have for Nintendo called Hyrule Warriors. Another Hyrule Warriors game called Hyrule Warriors Breath of the Wild. I lowered the volume down so you can all hear it as I go through all this all over again for your entertainment, because I'm just out of things to talk about. So anyway, the first thing I'm going to talk about is the new weapons for the two characters that are definitely going to be back. Link and Zelda. They're the only characters that are going to return. For obvious reasons. It's not a Zelda game without them. So the only weapon that Link will get back from the original Hyrule Warriors games are the sword and Master Sword. For obvious reasons, of course. The other weapons he's gonna get are more different than his other games. Well, the other Hyrule Warrior game. He's going to get a Flame Greatsword, a Lightning Spear, and an Ice Rod. That covers the four elements he originally had in the last Hyrule Warriors game. And Zelda, instead of her own sword, she's going to get a weaponized Sheikah Slate. I mean, come on, that has to sound awesome. I'd certainly like to see a weaponized Sheikah Slate. I mean, it's already got bombs, it can freeze enemies, it can create ice that some enemies have used as weapons already, so why can't it be weaponized? All the other characters from the Hyrule Warriors game will not be returning. Instead, it's going to be Breath of the Wild characters. And even Kass is going to be playable. The Rito Bard that everybody loves. Because we can't get enough of that guy. Most men want to be him, and everyone else wants to be with him. That's just a fact at this point. Of course, the four people that were supposed to use the divine beasts before they were killed will also be back, though they'll still be spirits that fight now instead of be trapped inside divine beasts. They can help out more now. The four friends you make when going after the beast will be there as characters as well. I'm debating whether or not if the king should be one. I mean, I don't see him really fighting, but it might be cool to give him a weapon and make him fight too. Of course, the Yiga clan leader, I'm not going to give his name away because of spoilers. He's going to be a playable character, even though he'll be the most occurring villain in the story mode. And even that Sheikah monk in the second Breath of the Wild DLC, he will be a playable character, though he won't be in the story. I can't think of any reason he'd be in the story at all. Not the main story for the game anyway. I'm not sure if Sheik should. She's an old woman, so not really sure how she would fight with the way she moves and walks. Ah, darn. I'm already screwing up from talking. But enough about that, because that's not what's gonna make Hyrule Warriors Breath of the Wild more replayable or more fun. What's gonna make it more fun is not the story. That's going to just unlock things and tell a different story. Now, the more important thing that's gonna be more fun is Empire Mode. And here is why. Anyone who's played, well, I haven't played a lot of Dynasty Warrior games. I played one. But an interesting thing I found about Dynasty Warriors is that in one game, you could fight to take control over the country. Now, there are a lot of regions in Breath of the Wild, and here's what would happen. All the characters get their own region, and the regions that don't have anyone controlling them, monsters take over. Now, Empire Mode will ignore characters' motives, morals, etc. because they're all trying to take over Hyrule for this fun game mode. Because no story or anything is involved. And so, every region will have a lot of different things. First, we're going to start with certain resources. The region you control will depend... What kind of things you get from your region will depend on what the region is. Some regions will get you more materials, some will get you more rupees, some will get you more soldiers. Which would definitely make things a little more interesting, because then you have to control your attacks and invasions on other places you want to take over.
Yes.
I'm already at damn Master Aura already. Alrighty. Yeah. So that's the first important thing. The next important thing is the monsters. The monsters make things a little more interesting because they make things more unpredictable. Now here's what happens with the monsters. When you try to take over a province or no, not a province, a region, they might be the same thing, I don't really know. When you try to take over a region controlled by monsters, you'll have to deal with one or two of the following two things. You'll either have to deal with the monster captain, or you'll have to deal with a monster giant boss, like one of those giant titans, those giant goblin things with one eyes, etc. Oh shoot, I've never done that before. But that's not all. If you take over a place that used to be controlled by monsters, sometimes they'll try to take the place back, which means you'll have to defend yourself against not only any enemy rulers that want to take over your regions, but monsters that want to reclaim what they've lost. Now, the important thing about monsters is that because of this makes them a rogue element. Because not only will they do it on their own accord, but sometimes if you are fighting a region or you're defending a region, monsters will appear as as a rogue element to try and defeat both sides, you and the enemy, and try to take over the place for themselves. That'll make things that'll take things out of control a little more, unless you deal with the rogue enemies immediately, which you don't always have to. Because depending on where they are, sometimes they'll go for the enemies more and weaken them for you, and then you can just deal with the monsters. Or you can just deal with them immediately if you don't want to deal with any future problems later. So they'll definitely keep your wits about you, won't they? Now, in order to deal with these rogue enemies, sometimes you have to deal with their captain or their boss, or sometimes both, depending on how difficult you want the Empire mode to be. And then you have to worry about the area itself. I mean, most areas will be perfectly fine to go through and invade. But if you go to a place like Death Mountain and you're not a Goron character, you'll have to buy heat-resistant armor to keep yourself from being burned alive. Otherwise, that area, well, you can still go by recovering whenever you go to a fort that's under your control, but it would be much more easier if you got heat-resistant armor. So you don't take damage every time you walk outside of a fort that belongs to you. Now, of course, Gorons don't have to worry about that, because they are already heat-proof. So there's even benefits to certain species. Knock it off! Seriously. Another thing to worry about in Empire mode are the 3 dragons that we've sometimes seen or hunted to get materials from. If you go to a region where they usually appear around, they can sometimes be a problem that you can't get rid of or destroy by shooting lightning or fire or ice just from being in the area. Basically, they're going to be a problem for you and your enemies until they go away. There's nothing you can do about it. They just have to leave, but they only appear once throughout the entire battle, and the time they appear is random. So you might not even ever see them. I'm starting to lose my voice a little from all this rambling. Now, for the most important thing I want to talk about for Empire mode is the guardians and items, like the bombs. See, I always thought items like that, like the bombs and arrows, they were handy, but I feel like more could have been done about them. I mean, the most important thing that bombs had were BMOs. You know, those statues with one eyes that shoot lasers at you. The important thing is that they either got rid of them or helped you fight the Dongo. You could, of course, use them to fight certain monster captains, but you didn't need to use those items to beat them. So I thought of a more interesting and more important use for things like that by adding guardians into the game. In Empire mode, when you take over a fort, or when your enemy takes over a fort, you get points that can fill up a bar in the corner of the screen. Now these bars can summon guardians. What kind of guardians? Well... Oh jeez, I killed all 3 of you that quick? Well, anyway, here's what happens. One full bar will summon a Stalker Guardian. I think that's what they're called. They walk on the ground. A Flyer will be summoned with 2 full bars, and a Turret can be summoned using 3 bars. Now these Guardian... I need a drink of water. Hang on a second. Okay. Alright, I'm done. Anyway. The important thing is that each and every one of these guardians do something very different. Now first, the Guardian Stalker will go to the nearest enemy fort, whether... Well, if it's on your side... Now, we'll say it's the enemy. the enemy stalker will say, as an example, will go to the nearest fort that the enemy does not control to take over it. Now the problem is that these Stalker Guardians can take a lot of damage, which means your captains and your grunts will not be enough to take it out. At least not until it has maybe 2 or 3 of your bases. So you should very likely go there and deal with them yourself. Now you can stun these Guardians. Well, you can stun the Stalker by using bombs on it at certain times. And then do what you can to damage and destroy it. The flyer ones can be controlled by the enemy that summoned it, or if you summon one, it can be controlled by you. Now what it will do is it will stay in one place in the air and attack either a base or a specific captain until the base is either taken over or your captain target is destroyed. Afterwards, it will go away. But the thing is that the reason why they go away after that specific task is because the player can reach these Guardians, but your enemies cannot. So to make it more challenging and fair, they have to disappear after they complete the task given to them. Now you can stun it and bring it down by using arrows to shoot it down and then destroy it, because that's the only way you're going to be able to destroy it. And the third one, the turret. The turret, I think, is the most useful. It does 2 specific things. It will protect a base or a fortress until it is destroyed, and when there are no enemies inside of that fortress or base, it will summon the small little Guardians to help attack captains, forts, or any nearby enemies. Basically the nearest target. It'll keep doing those things until it is destroyed. You can use the boomerang to stun it. You know what? Maybe the hook shot should stun the Flying Guardian instead of the arrows, and I should think of something else for the arrows. Maybe the arrow would make more sense with the turret, and I'll think of something else for the boomerang. Yeah, bombs for the stalkers, hook shot for... knock that off. Hook shot for the Flying Guardian, and arrows for the turret. Alright. Now that's the most important thing for the Guardians. Of course, these items can still be useful when you're fighting certain bosses. Like one of those Rock Titan guys. It'll be easier to beat them if you use bombs, like in the actual game, because believe it or not, bombs are pretty useful to stun those giant rocks. Arrows are good against, I don't know what they're called, Hinox or something? Giant goblin-like creatures with 1 eye. They're useful. Arrows. Jeez, you're making it hard to think, Collector, because you keep throwing all these random elements into the battlefield. He's dead. And you are not. Ugh, what am I even talking about? Right, my Hyrule Warrior game idea. So that's the So that's the most important thing about this. It'll add more rogue elements and it'll have more things to keep your wits about you. And of course, Empire mode will give the game more replayability, because not every Empire mode is going to be the exact same. Depending on things you do, which will always be different because not everybody does the same thing at the same time, over and over and over again. Die already! Don't shoot, die! I think more people would play Empire mode than they would Adventure mode or Story mode. And of course... Oh yeah, that's right. Another rogue element that will sometimes happen in the game is the Blood Moon. I wanted the Blood Moon to be a thing. Now the thing about Blood Moon is that it was a random moon that came during the middle of the night to resurrect dead monsters. The Blood Moon is only going to be relevant in places that used to belong to monsters. Because when you're attacking an area like that, or defending an area that once belonged to monsters, if a Blood Moon comes on that night, the monsters will at some point in the level respawn to fight you and your enemies, which can be useful depending if they attack you more or the enemy more. I'm losing my voice again. Or it could cause more problems for you if they're bogging you the most. But either way, it would definitely be more fun to see Hyrule Warriors like that. Oh, would you stop? I'm losing my voice as it is. Jeez, this boss rush is so long. I've talked about everything in the new Hyrule Warriors idea game that I had. Ugh. I think the only way this game could be made is if Nintendo agreed to make it. I mean, if Nintendo wants the idea, I'd be happy to give it to them. Because, well, they can't complain. It would make them a lot of money if people found it very fun and interesting. I really hope that this video somehow gets to someone in Nintendo, or someone that has a connection to Nintendo, because I'm pretty sure that if the idea was given to them, especially for free, they would probably try to make it. Oh yeah, there's one thing I do want to talk about. 2-player mode. Having someone to play with you is always going to be fun. And of course, if you have another person that can play with you, they can always help you. But I wonder what would happen if they had their own empire and were trying to fight against you. I'm not really sure how that would work, because that would mean at some point your friend would have to fight you. I don't see that going well. But if Nintendo ever gave that a try, I'd certainly test it out and try it for them. I'd be happy to try that for them. That'd be awesome. And of course, the thing that people liked about Hyrule Warriors Legends is that you could swap characters in the middle of the game. You can do that, but only if you have more than one character on the battlefield. Not including captains, of course. And that reminds me, in the original Hyrule Warriors game, you were limited to commanding only the characters you could play as. In Hyrule Warriors... Oh shoot. In Hyrule Warriors Breath of the Wild, that control expands more. You can command characters that you don't swap and play as in the middle of the game to what to do, such as attack a fort. And you can command captains to go after specific targets. The only characters I can see that could logically come back into this Breath of the Wild game is Lana, Cia, and Ganondorf. Lana and Cia because they're immortals that were in the last game. Ganondorf because that's who Calamity, because Calamity Ganon and Ganondorf are basically the same person, except one in human form and sane. I guess Linkle should come back too, because Linkle was a Hyrule Warriors character. I think Linkle should definitely come back, though I'm not sure she should have the same weapons. But since she is a Hyrule Warrior character made for Hyrule Warriors specifically, she should definitely come back into this game. Wonder what her story would be like. Probably the same, but in different situations. I'm trying to think of different weapons for all the other characters, like Sidon and Mipha. Sidon and Mipha are both Zoras, and the common Zora weapon is the Trident. Mipha will definitely have the Trident, but I'm trying to think of something more unique for the Prince of Zoras. I'm already to this guy. This is how long I've been rambling. Yeah. Go for it. Yeah. Come at me. Anything else to talk about? Oh yes, unique bosses. Naturally, there are going to be unique bosses, like the different forms of Ganon. The Water Blight, Lightning Blight, Wind Blight, all those Ganons will be in story mode, though I'm not sure about Empire mode. Calamity Ganon will always appear... No, wait a minute. I just thought of a way I can put all the Ganons in Empire mode. Once you take over all of Hyrule Warrior, well, Hyrule, I should say, sorry, Ganon will threaten your new empire by first using Eternal Blood Moon. Now, Eternal Blood Moon is fun because Eternal Blood Moon will resurrect any monster captains you kill in the level that it's in at the final battle of Empire mode. You're on a bit of a time limit every time you kill a captain, a monster captain. Now, in order to get rid of Eternal Blood Moon, you have to destroy all 4 Ganon Blights that are on the battlefield. I recommend doing story mode first, so you know how to deal with each and every individual Blight Ganon. But once they're destroyed, Calamity Ganon himself will come to challenge you and your army. All you have to do after that is to defeat him, and then you have defeated Empire mode. But Empire mode will have a lot of replayability because there's always different ways you can fight it and play it, because not every situation is going to be the exact same, except the ending. Now, of course, you can recruit enemy characters. which is very simple to do. See, what you do is whenever you defeat a captain, they have to retreat. But depending on what level they are, they can come back once, twice, or 3 times. If they run out of times to retreat, you officially capture them and they don't become a problem again in the game. Now this can happen to your allies as well, so do be careful and watch out for them. But what happens is you capture them. And when you capture them, you can either request for them to join you, basically recruit. They can say yes or no. And if they say no, then they don't join you. Then you have to choose whether to banish them, which will basically get rid of them out of that that save file of Empire mode until the next time you play a new game of Empire mode. Or you can release them, and when you release them, they'll either retreat to their kingdom if it still exists, or they will live as a mercenary to either build their own kingdom or work as a sellsword, which means you can hire people to help you fight against these enemies. I need another drink of water, I'm losing my voice. I said I was done a while ago talking about it, but I'm still going on about it. I gotta make up my mind. Okay, I think we're good now. Die already. So anyway, that can happen. And of course, the only people that can't, if you're playing a hard mode, be recruited are the leading kings that are ruling over the regions. If you take out a kingdom, the person ruling that kingdom can only either be attempted to recruit once, and if they say no, all you can do is banish them. You cannot release them. Just to make the game just a little more interesting. And a bit more risky if you are unable to get the characters you want. Because then you kind of have to work with what you got instead of what you want. Am I done talking about it yet? I don't know, maybe. Ow. Maybe. I might think of more to talk about. I'm still trying to think of something for the boomerang. Because I haven't thought of anything for that yet. But then again, the boomerangs in Breath of the Wild could be used as melee weapons as too, so maybe I don't really have to think of anything for them. Even then, in Hyrule Warriors, they were only good for getting rid of vines in story mode, and apart from that, they were good for dealing with certain captains. I'll try and think of something, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'm not going to go into full detail on what all the weapons that everyone's going to get. I still have to think all of that through. But I do think it would make a very fun game that a lot of people would play for maybe years. But I'm not an expert in these sort of things. I just come up with random ideas that come to my head and share it with random strangers to the public. So basically I'm just some crazy guy. Here, please. And now I'm out of water. Let's see if I can make it through this level. Yay, it's you again. I hate you. He's not really he's never killed me, but he's still an annoying nuisance.
Man.
I will not be your man. Frickin' die already. Oh sure, bring out the double shields. I shouldn't sound so annoyed because that means he's almost dead. Ow. It also means he's a bigger pain in the ass than he really needs to be. Fuck off.
Man.
I am not going to be your man. Maybe I did run out of things to talk about Hyrule Warriors because I'm not even talking about it anymore. I'm just complaining about this asshole. Thank God you're dead. Oh goody, So all the most unique characters of the game will be playable characters. They'll have their own weapons. They'll all fight in different ways, of course. Ow. The same element system will be back, because that was... I actually like the element system. Please die. Oh! I was about to say, I just healed myself. I just healed myself! So I think that's all I have to say about Hyrule Warriors. Thanks everybody for listening to that rambling, but I have nothing else to talk about. I've been going through this every week. Ah, you dick. You suck. Ah, you dick. You suck. This guy sucks. Oh yeah, for people who play Dynasty Warriors, you always had to buy weapons every time you started a new game in Empire mode or anything like that. But not in Hyrule Warriors. You get the same weapons you had before and that you've been making your entire life you've been playing the game. You don't have to make new ones and buy new ones every time you play Empire mode. You get to keep your ultimate weapons. I also think there should be permanent leveling up for certain characters that you play in the game. Because that would encourage people to play all the characters and try and balance them all out in Empire mode. And it would be easier to level them all up because of so. And of course, characters that play with you in the game should be able to level up every time they defeat enemies as well. Otherwise, you're just wasting potential experience that you could just get for the character you're playing right now. That makes sense, doesn't it? I think it makes sense. I mean, I guess it would be more work for Nintendo, but Nintendo has never gone for what would be easy. They always went for what would be fun and what would be more creative. That's the thing I loved about Nintendo the most. They didn't want to go with things that were easy or what was already going. They wanted to be creative. That's why they created things differently, like the Nintendo 64. A lot of people didn't like the Nintendo 64 because of the controllers. but that controller is what created the GameCube. And a lot of people didn't like the Wii. I liked the Wii, and I also liked the Nintendo 64, but not everyone did, and I can see why. But the Nintendo Wii led to the Wii U. And a lot of people didn't like the Wii U because the controller was a bit bulky, but I didn't care about that because that was the first TV console game I could ever play while sitting on the toilet. And that's every bachelor's dream. You're all laughing, but a lot of bachelors out there are like, oh my god, that's so true. And even when people didn't like the Wii U, that led to the Nintendo Switch that everybody loves. So even if Nintendo doesn't make things that everybody loves, they do go out of their way to make new, unique, and creative things, to make new experiences for their customers and their fans. That is something I will always admire about Nintendo. Oh shoot, I'm out of water. I'm gonna be right back, everybody. I might actually beat this for once. Hang on a second. I still can't believe I was able to ramble about an entire game idea while going through the entire boss rush while I still got 2 more bosses to fight. But anyway, I got some new water. We'll see if I can beat the pure vessel. And then we'll see if I can... Am I still recording? Oh, thank God. And then we're gonna... Look, if you guys want to listen to what he says every time, play the game yourself. I've had to listen to him every single time, and I'm so sick of him. Or her. I don't care what gender it is. I just want to beat my brother up. I'm losing my voice. Thank goodness my job doesn't require a voice. You go away. No! Die! Die! Oh, you teleported, you bastard. I can't even talk about my idea anymore because, I need to focus on this specific bastard. No. I've lost you so many times. I'm sick of it. Die, die, die! No! Oh yeah, that trick, that's awesome. Can you die now? I don't care, just die! I'm pretty sure I finished my entire ramble of the Hyrule Warriors game idea. I hope it gets to Nintendo somehow. I'd give them the game idea for free. I mean, if they gave me a small bit of credit, oh my god, I beat him. If they give me a small bit of credit to the game, I'd be just happy with that. Oh my god, I beat him. But anyway, Nintendo, if you're watching this, I'm gonna bring my thing up now. Nintendo, if you're watching this, or if this somehow gets to you, you can have the idea for free. Just please let me know when you're playing it. If you want me to beta test the game for you, please let me know. I'll leave my email in the description below when I upload this video. Give me a message. Well, an email if you like the idea, if you'd like to have it. And if you'd like me to beta test it whenever you want me to test it, I will do it. I'll go out of my way and do that kind of stuff because, let's face it, I love your stuff. But I have to stop talking about that now because I have to deal with this thing that's been haunting me since the beginning of this frickin' video and the videos before it. It's time to destroy the light. Wish me luck, everybody. How's it go? No, no. I bid you to win. Stop. Oh my god, I'm winning. Ow. I jinxed it. Ow. Why did I do that? That was my fault. Ow. This is what I get for jinxing myself, everybody. Oh, fuck. I gotta save all my magic now. Son of a bitch!